An XRP update.
Let's get into it.
So today, guys, we're going to be taking a look at various different pieces of XRP news, SEC lawsuit, and of course we'll be getting into the technical stuff as well to see what the price action of XRP has been up to recently. If you find this video useful, informative, and maybe even entertaining at times, do go ahead and hit that like button. We both really do appreciate that. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel and you'd like to stay up to date with the new cryptocurrencies, the hidden gems, technical analysis and news, then why not become a subscriber? By subscribing, you'll be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It is free, you'll stay well informed, so why not? Right, Chris, anything else you want to add related to XRP before we jump on into some of these news articles?
Yeah, it's just interesting how it's all playing out, Nick. It's kind of playing out exactly how we thought it would. And yeah, I think, should we just get into it?
Absolutely. Okay, guys, the first thing that we just want to talk about is this little light touch here. But basically, the XRP community mounts pressure on the SEC after staging a protest outside the headquarters. And it's quite a funny one, really. But basically, XRP holders gathered outside the SEC headquarters, calling for the watchdog to quit harassing Ripple. A majority still believe that when the case was brought to Ripple, the now former chair had a conflict of interest. And yeah, I can see that. I really can. So I think after numerous petitions and all that kind of stuff, the protest kind of was put out there. And, it's an interesting one. Obviously, the XRP community staged a protest. In this case and recent developments around the industry have spurred discussions around crypto regulations or lack of regulations for that matter. And this is definitely something that you're going to start seeing, or something that we've been talking about pretty much from the word go. The danger with this particular case is that it starts a chain reaction and starts a precedent for ultimately what is to come. So obviously, it does appear that the SEC don't want to win. They're not doing a very good job. And yeah, I can see this thing kind of going one of a couple of ways. So we won't get into that just yet. But basically, the protest kind of went ahead. Here's the little tweet from it. And you can kind of see everything that was going on, which is a nice little touch to kind of kickstart everything in this space. So this actually was kind of put out on the 29th of May. For those who kind of missed it, you're probably aware of this one. But let's get into the next piece. It's just a fun one there. So the next one that we want to kind of bring up and talk about here is how Ripple is seeking the help of some exchanges, in what it says will be a fatal blow to the SEC charges. So Ripple has filed a new motion in New York asking for the court to allow it to select basically information from 15 top exchanges in other jurisdictions in its case against the SEC. So this is pretty cool stuff. The company is seeking to fight charges laid out by the SEC, claiming that Ripple's two executives, Larson and Gardinghouse, sold billions of dollars of XRP on foreign exchanges. So really interesting stuff. Obviously, if this goes ahead and it is that fatal blow, it'll be really interesting to see how the SEC actually react to it. So Ripple is now seeking information from 15 of the leading global exchanges that it believes could squash the SEC charges. Now, the company filed a motion with the New York court on the 3rd of May, asking the judge to allow it to reach out to Bitfinex, OKX, and seek information paramount to the case, right? So pretty cool stuff. Basically, CEO Brad Gardinghouse, the chairman Chris Larson, requested the court to issue letters of request to 15 exchanges across Europe, Asia. These are Bitstamp, Bithumb, Upbit, to name a few. There, the list kind of goes on. You can kind of see them all here. Bit4x is on there as well. And so yeah, really cool stuff. Bitfinex. So hopefully that does go ahead. That'd be pretty cool to see what goes on there. And why does it matter? Well, the individual defendants seek foreign discovery on the basis of their good faith belief that the listed entities possesses unique documents and information concerning this case, and is specifically concerning the process in which the transactions in XRP allegedly conducted by the individual defendants on the foreign digital asset trading platforms were conducted. So yeah, another cool one to see how this one kind of goes out. Obviously, Jeremy Hogan's spoken about this as well. Back on the 2nd of June, kind of tweeted this out. So pretty cool stuff to kind of catch up on. And of course, the next one we want to talk about is how if Ripple eventually does agree a settlement with the SEC, what would it look like? And What's interesting about this is a settlement is kind of one of the two scenarios that we can see happening here when it comes to SEC. It's probably the most likely one that we've been talking about this pretty much since it actually launched, or I should say the SEC filed the lawsuit. It didn't make a lot of sense, and ultimately there was conflict of interest. That's kind of pretty clear now. And also that it's very unlikely that this thing is going to play all the way through, and you're going to end up at a settlement. Now, Ripple seem to be forthwilling with that and wanting to have a settlement. The SEC are unwilling to negotiate terms to a point that's actually agreeable with Ripple. And I know different outlets or news outlets will spin this differently. They say that Ripple are the ones basically preventing that settlement from happening. And I disagree. I think ultimately the SEC brought this lawsuit over to Ripple, and they just want Ripple to basically kneel before them and just accept it. The difference between Ripple and many of these other companies, these fintech companies that have actually been there, is they've had their bank accounts frozen. They've not been able to actually fight the case in a fair way. Ripple, on the other hand, have the means to be able to fight this case properly. And as a result, I don't think the SEC were really prepared for that. So when it comes to a settlement, yeah, sure, they're not just going to bend over and wait for the SEC to do what they need to do. Instead, they're going to, say exactly what they want. They will settle, we'll pay you X, Y, and Z, but you absolutely categorically have to also give us this. And they'll probably have a list of things that they want from a settlement deal, and the SEC are unwilling to give it. And I think that's ultimately where this conflict is going. However, I still think this is likely to end up in settlement, and I think it's going to likely to end up in settlement because ultimately the SEC are not likely to win. At least in my opinion, they have a pretty weak case. And although they've got a couple of pieces that could be, or seem to be their killer pieces of information or evidence, I think that actually what Ripple are doing is a stronger defense than what the prosecution has. So I still feel that the SEC are not trying their hardest. The lawyers definitely got off to a bad start, and they definitely need to pick that up if they want to stand a chance, in my opinion. So a settlement is likely to happen, and I believe this will be the SEC finally actually willing to negotiate a little bit more with Ripple. There will be compromise on both ends, no doubt. And I do think that settlement will likely happen just because the SEC will want to save face. They won't want to have a loss in court. And as a result of that settlement, it could see lots of fantastic things happening for Ripple and for XRP as a result. What it wouldn't do if there was a settlement, though, is protect many of these other potential assets that are in the space. A settlement with Ripple would basically just be between Ripple and the SEC and associated XRP with that, but it wouldn't necessarily stop, let's say, the SEC going after someone like, I don't know, let's think of about maybe Cardano or Polkadot or something else, right? And again, a lot of these particular digital assets are very, very similar to XRP. So ultimately what you're looking for here is a Ripple win that then actually sets in motion a good set of regulations for the space rather than a bad set of regulations where the SEC just basically enforce with a heavy hammer rather than actually meeting people halfway and actually giving them the information up front. So that fair defense notice, a fair notice defense, is absolutely crucial. And if there's a settlement here, they potentially might again do a very similar thing. This is the SEC. It's what they've done with Ripple to many other companies in this space. So a settlement, I think it's going to be interesting stuff. I do think it's a likely outcome. And what it's going to look like, well, Jeremy Hogan has spoken about this in his video. I think he did this over the weekend. And basically, a settlement, a lawsuit, I think it's going to be an interesting kind of outcome. And ultimately, it's going to include quite a few things around XRP and terminology that will basically, in my opinion, mean that it'll only be able to sell to accredited investors and all that kind of stuff, in the same way that you saw that with Kick Interactive. The difference, obviously, with Kick Interactive and XRP and Ripple and all of those kind of things is how it actually went about and how the SEC actually went about doing and actually proceeding with the case. So, yeah, interesting stuff. Do recommend checking out Jeremy Hogan's video on that one because it is very insightful onto what he thinks the outcome is likely to be when it comes to the SEC law case. And of course, that settlement that's associated with it. Now, obviously, the other part of this comes into what potentially could happen if that settlement does happen, and what would be a bottleneck flow of the XRP. And this is because ultimately, if we think about what's happening at the moment, the Ripple can basically have that escrowed XRP and sell it, right? And they generally actually sell it to accredited investors at the moment to a degree. And they actually put more back into escrow than they actually sell. And this has been the case for quite some time. They don't actually need the XRP to facilitate their day-to-day business. So ultimately what you have here is a potential bottleneck occurring where if Ripple's hands are tied by selling it only to accredited investors, and then something else I'll get into in a moment, that there could be a bottleneck flow of XRP into the market. Now, under those circumstances, then the price of XRP is obviously going to naturally grow as demand increases. And I don't think this is going to have a huge impact on the ODL either. So from a liquidity point of view, I think it's going to be there. The price will push up. You can still sell fractions of it. So I can see ultimately XRP being potentially, this could be beneficial for XRP in the longer run. And obviously, by potentially tying up that escrow amount of XRP with Ripple and making sure that it can only sell it to very specific individuals, and of course, they may even have to apply for approval from the SEC to be able to do so. And if all that kind of happens, then you could start to see a bottleneck occur of the new fresh XRP entering the marketplace, with, of course, the exception of one additional individual, which has to be 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘. So, eventually he will run out of XRP one day. But for now, in May he sold 453 million XRP. So again, this is an inflow into the market from one particular individual, one whale in the space, and basically he sold $430 million worth of XRP directly into the market. Now, he's allowed to do this, but of course, if 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗠𝗠𝗘𝗥𝗦 and Larsen do it, they get a lawsuit. But this guy, no, apparently because he owns the asset, it's perfectly fine, right? Not that to say that Brad Garlinghouse owned it and he could sell it, but it was about inside information and all that kind of stuff. But I get it, I do. But nonetheless, it's frustrating when you're an XRP investor and someone like Jed is basically just, I like to, I don't know how to really phrase it, like stealing from investors in the space. Ultimately, he's selling his holdings of XRP at such a large quantity, it does suppress the price quite a bit. So it's an interesting piece here. Obviously, $430 million worth of XRP was sold in May. So that's $430 million worth of retail money, if you will, being taken out of play here for XRP and replaced with circulating XRP. So it's an interesting piece, but obviously, when we talk about bottlenecks, they're bottlenecking potentially Ripple and their potential cash flow. They're giving that a bottleneck, hypothetically under a settlement scenario, and also bottlenecking the inflow of new XRP into the space, with the exception, of course, of 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, who is selling such a large amount of XRP. Of course, this isn't going to go on forever. Eventually, he will sell out of XRP completely, and when that time comes, XRP will, in my opinion, flourish much, much faster than it has done in the past. Now we're going to get into the technicals, and here we have XRP, and this is the daily chart with Binance being the data source. Now, obviously, we have a 5% correction here when it comes to XRP, and of course this is led by Bitcoin and everything that was going on with Bitcoin yesterday. So Bitcoin hit a resistance line, and Elon Musk also sent a tweet out talking about a Bitcoin breakup. This actually kind of exaggerated the potential pullback a little bit and has actually extended it for many altcoins. So Bitcoin, I think, actually went down to about 7%, and many altcoins hit to double digits in terms of corrections. Now, today's obviously a green day as it starts to move back up here with XRP. So on this daily chart, we can see that kind of really steep correction that came in after Bitcoin had its pullback from the top, and finding the bottom here just on that 200 moving average. Now, right now, we're battling that 100 moving average, and that 50 moving average is quite high above there, so nothing really to worry about. Now, this particular yellow box here, this is our entry point. This is just below the 618 and just above the 786 of the Fibonacci. This is where we want to get into and push way above. And if we can get a closed candle above here, that will really set things up to continue the motion to the upside. I do believe this is going to be a long and gradual process in taking us out of this potential dip that we're in right now to fresh all-time highs. In order to do this, we are looking at a very long, dragged out process. Now, with that being said, it is something that is going to require a lot of patience, and I like to think that most XRP holders are incredibly patient so far. Obviously, there are people who were shaken out of the market way over here during the SEC lawsuit when that was first kind of put out there. And obviously, this pullback here was a major buy signal for myself and for Chris. We were accumulating quite a bit of XRP during this point in time. Now, obviously, as we were starting to get into this fantastic highs here, these recent kind of crashes and pullbacks, they've been okay, but they've been frustrating. So I like to think that many people who are very familiar with these kind of pullbacks by now, specifically when it comes to XRP. And if you're dollar cost averaging, you're able to build a pretty good position knowing what is likely to come in the future. So right now we have that resistance up at $1.07. It's approximately just here. We can see that. And we've been battling this area for quite a while without a closed candle above that area for a considerable amount of time now. So we're still battling that, currently at 94 at the point of 94 cent at the point of recording this video, and we are looking to continue that growth to the upside. Now, when it comes to that kind of micro view, our upward trend line has been invalidated. So I'll quickly draw that on there for you. So our upward trend has been invalidated, so there's no longer a triangular wedge that we're working up towards. Instead, what we're going to have to do is wait to see how this pattern potentially forms out now, finding good support here about 89 cent, and whether or not we're actually going to find a new upward trend to kind of take us to the next level. So we're going to be watching that closely over the next little while to see how that unfolds. Now, of course, when we're looking at these kind of micro views and we're really focusing in on what has been happening right now, sometimes it's hard to kind of remember where we're going and what things are likely to end up with in the near future. So I like to just zoom out, guys, and actually take a bigger picture, right? Take that. This is where we are right now, and this is where we are thinking of going, right? So it's always important to remember what the objectives are and making sure that you have your exit strategy, anchored in advance of actually getting into these cryptocurrencies. So for XRP, it's always important that we have, a bit of a picture as to where things are likely to go, at least in our opinion. And making sure that you have your strategy associated. So here is a Fibonacci extension, Fibonacci retracement tool with these extension levels on. And this actually shows us from the previous all-time high to the low crash of March 2020. This is showing us some pretty good projections as to what is likely to happen here for XRP. So to start with, we have our first price target coming in at $6.16. That is going to be followed up by $9.91, which is followed by $13.65, followed by $15.97. So straight away, we have a good idea as to where things are likely to go, according to the Fibonacci extension levels. And, for me, that 13.50 area is a pretty sweet spot that I like to focus in on. Now, of course, this is under just a very standard Fibonacci from high to low, nothing, too strange or anything to be misunderstood about it. Now, of course, there are lots of other ways you can go about doing about placing these Fibonacci's, right? So under a real fantastic run, you could change this and you could actually go ahead and place our 236 area on top of our all-time high area. And actually that then shows us a potential high scenario of $67. Now, this is one of those scenarios where everything has to completely align. It has to be perfect. Everything has to work. We have to have huge banks coming on board, and there has to be huge demand for XRP in order to push the price up that high. And I know a lot of people will be talking about how the market cap wouldn't be there, but market cap ultimately, guys, is a very simple, basic calculation. It doesn't actually tell us how much money is in a particular cryptocurrency. All it is doing is multiplying the circulating supply by the current price. And we know there isn't enough liquidity to liquidate an entire cryptocurrency instantly. So there is never going to be $1 trillion in a cryptocurrency. It's a fraction of that. And it's important that people understand what market cap is and how it actually works, because a lot of people get confused when they start thinking about a cryptocurrency and how high it can go, and trying to base their understanding of this based on a market capitalization. It's not like a company market capitalization. This is literally the most basic calculation you can come up with. Price multiplied by circulating supply. So with this being said, we obviously have a theoretical, everything aligns up perfectly. Banks are onboarded, huge demand for XRP, which basically then puts a huge strain. And here we end up with a fantastic price of about $67. Now, I don't think that's a likely outcome, but it's always good to have both your highs, your lows, and your kind of realistic targets as well. So for me personally, I want to obviously make sure that I have my exit strategy lined up to what I'm seeing here with a potential high of about $15 or $16, and then ultimately leaving a portion of your bag intact, just riding it out. And if it does go up to those crazy high values, then you can liquidate at a different price point. So not a financial advisor, but my personal approach to it is to sell it on the way up, have realistic targets, and obviously leave a little bit in the tank just in case things do go absolutely parabolic and go to the moon, and you do see a $67 XRP. So guys, that's what I have on the technical side. Chris, is there anything else you want to talk about for XRP?
Just like I say, Nick, it's all lining up as we expect it to. Expecting big things from XRP. Another thing to probably mention is institutions have actually been buying up some XRP, believe it or not.
Absolutely. So guys, hopefully you found this useful and informative. If you have, hit the like button. We both really appreciate that. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel and you would like to stay up to date with all those new cryptocurrencies, the hidden gems, the technical analysis and news, then do subscribe. By subscribing, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It's free. You'll stay well informed. So why not? Right. With that said, done and out of the way, we hope you have a fantastic day, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, take care.